Hi, I'm Christoph. Welcome to E52. I'm your teacher, and today we're going to talk about the second conditional. Okay, it's great to see everyone again. Today we're going to study the second conditional. Now, if you remember from the lesson...
Hi, Christoph. Sorry I'm late.
Well, it looks and sounds like you're sick.
Yes, I do feel sick. Yesterday I was feeling okay, but today I woke up and felt sick all over.
Well, if I were you, I might stay home.
What else would you do if you were sick?
If I were sick, I would take some medicine.
What kind of medicine would you recommend?
If I had a cough, I would take some cough and cold medicine.
Is there a store close by?
There is. Walgreens is right down the block. You could buy that medicine immediately if you went to Walgreens.
Thank you, Christoph.
You're welcome. Always happy to help. All right. Sorry about that interruption, class. Now, where were we? Oh, right. So the second conditional. What happened to your hand? Whoa, that is a deep cut. How did you do that?
I was using the paper cutter and I cut my finger.
If I were you, I'd wash that cut now.
Thanks, I will.
Also, if I were using the paper cutter, I might be more careful because the blade is sharp.
Thanks for telling me.
Well, if I were you, I'd put a Band-Aid on that as soon as possible.
Okay, Christoph.
Okay. So, when using the second conditional, we...
If I were you, I'll take a break.
We use the second conditional to talk about impossible or unlikely situations in the future. For example, if I were sick, I'd take some medicine. If I had a cough, I'd take some cough and cold medicine. In both of these examples, the person is not sick. What they are saying is that if they were sick, they would take cough and cold medicine. The form, if I were you, is an impossible situation and is often used to give advice. For example, if I were you, I'd take a break. If I were you, I'd put a bandage on that cut as soon as possible. The conditional or if clause can also contain the past continuous. For example, if I were cutting vegetables, I might be more careful with knives. The main clause and conditional clause can also be switched. When this happens, there is no comma dividing the clauses. For example, you could buy the medicine immediately if you went to Walgreens. I'd take a break if I were you. Sometimes the conditional or if clause is implied and not written or spoken out loud. For example, what kind of medicine would you recommend? I would go wash that right now. The main clause can contain would, could, or might. For example, you could buy the medicine immediately if you went to Walgreens. If I were cutting vegetables, I might be more careful with knives. The second conditional is constructed using if plus the past simple for the conditional or if clause, followed by would, could, might, plus the base form of a verb. If you went to Walgreens, you could buy medicine immediately. If I were you, I would go wash that. If I were sick, I might stay home. If I needed help, I might ask my family. If I lost my wallet, I would call the police. If I ate a lot of candy, I might get a cavity. If I went to bed late, I would be tired in the morning. When we invert the main clause and the conditional clause, we drop the comma dividing the clauses. You could buy medicine immediately if you went to Walgreens. I would go wash that if I were you. I might stay home if I were sick. I might ask my family if I needed help. I would call the police if I lost my wallet. I might get a cavity if I ate a lot of candy. I would be tired in the morning if I went to bed late. Now let's think of some unlikely or impossible situations using the second conditional. If I were sick, I would take medicine. If I had a dog, I would walk it every day. If I didn't brush my teeth, I might get cavities. If I were a pilot, I'd fly around the world. If I were living in New York, I would see the Statue of Liberty. If I were a tree, I wouldn't be able to walk anywhere. Some of these situations, like being a pilot, having a dog, or being sick, could happen, but they are unlikely, and more importantly, they are not true at this moment, nor will they happen in the near future. The idea of being a tree, however, is impossible. Now, let's practice giving advice using if I were you. I'll give you a situation and 2 answer choices. You will pick one and say it out loud. What would you say if your friend came up to you with a test with an F on it? Would you say, if I were you, I'd play more video games. If I were you, I'd study harder. That's right. The answer is, if I were you, I'd study harder. Let's do another one. What would you say if you were a doctor and a patient came into your office sneezing and coughing and complaining about their head aching? Would you say, I would take some medicine if I were you. I would stay up late if I were you. That's right. The answer is, I would take some medicine if I were you. Let's do one more together. What would you say to your friend if your friend was driving above the speed limit near a school? Would you say, if I were you, I'd speed up. If I were you, I'd slow down. That's right. The answer is, if I were you, I'd slow down. Great job. Now it's your turn. And remember, if I were you, I would keep studying English.